What is your perspective on the current creator or gig economy, whatever you want to call it?
I think that in my space, consolidation is coming. I think this idea that you're going to give $5 a month to your top favorite 50 podcasts is not going to happen. The admin alone is a pain in the ass, right? So I think what will increasingly happen is people will operate under an umbrella. And so what you're likely to see is the formation of the kind of media empires of the future over the next 10 years, where people who have an existing platform will start to bring other content creators under the umbrella. You know, you mentioned Ben Shapiro. Obviously, the Daily Wire is a good example of this.
Great example.
And we have some plans in the work along those lines. So that's what I see coming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, Vice tried to do it, and Vice did a good job for a while. They aired and made some bad ideological and also financial decisions, but not to get into all of that. The simple idea of having a platform online of different brands, that was kind of cool for a while. They didn't implement it properly.
Yeah, but having a one-stop shop for, you know, for
some documentary films, some podcasts, some news.
Exactly.
Ben did it very well.
They've done it very well. I really respect Ben and his guys. We politically we're not in the same political, you know, segment, which is good because
I'm not either. But you know,
but in terms of the model of what they've done, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I think there's going to be people coming together and moving forward together as part of the same umbrella. Going forward, I see that coming, definitely.
Well, that's a rosy way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it would be that when the consolidation happens, and let's play this out. The consolidation happens, you know, you have, even if it's atomized, you have a group of podcasts operating under this company and another group of podcasts and independent films or whatever operating under this one and this one. Say there's 10, say there's 20, say there's 50, you know, whatever, maybe not 50, but say there's a small number of them, of really big players, right? Of course, there's a free market and there's other consolidations that will happen and there's other new players. But how do we avoid this? I mean, this happens to the music industry. There's lots of artists. Everyone wants to sign with the label. The labels, you know, a lot of artists complain about the labels being exploitative, or the industry itself being exploitative. How do we've seen this model work in film, we've seen it work in music, and we've seen the issues that come along therein. So how do we still encourage free market, like that some kid in his garage in Portland, wherever he is, can have his podcast and then maybe get signed by Konstantin's label? I don't know.
I don't think we need to encourage anything. I think the technology is there to allow people to do that.
To free market flourish.
Make your stuff. Yeah. This is the beauty of the internet. There's no gatekeepers. There's no gatekeepers. You don't need to sign with Konstantin's label or anyone else's label if you don't want to. It's about mutual benefit. If you start something in your garage and it becomes the biggest show in the world, great.
Good.
You don't you can. And people have done it. And on YouTube, on other parts of the internet, you can do that. If you make good content, it's what we've done. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Go for it. If you want to be part of an umbrella organization is going to give you more opportunity, that'll be there for you too. If you don't want to be, I don't think Joe Rogan is ever going to start a label. I just don't think that's how he thinks. I don't think he's ever going to sign to someone else's label either. He's just going to do his podcast as long as he enjoys doing it. Go for it. I think the more people start stuff and do stuff and create interesting things, the better. And then we'll see. And look, your point is correct. The media empires of the future will become media organizations. And when something becomes an organization, there's a risk of losing the very core values that were there at the beginning of it. And it's the eternal dance and the eternal merry-go-round in which we go. That's just how it's going to be.
Or
you get fragmentation, and then you get consolidation. Fragmentation, consolidation. I think that's we were for the last many years in massive fragmentation. I think the next few years you're going to see a lot of consolidation happening.
Yeah, I had Zuby on whenever I had him on. And time is weird. And I think it was like a year ago. And he said he never signed with the label. He just releases all his own music under his own. He has his own label. Like he just does his thing.
And he's been very successful with that.
Yeah, he has. And that can be done too. That can be done too. On the subject, this is we're coming up with the end here, I promise. At least it stopped raining now too, so I can walk back home peacefully. There seems to be a kind of nefarious cultural mercantilism happening with, like, cultural mercantilism as an idea is that what's America's main export. It's not, potatoes or crops, tobacco, whatever. It's culture. Everything's downstream from America. The crazy shit, the good shit, the bad shit, everything downstream.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. It has become kind of, I don't know if nefarious is the right word, but like we're producing some bad culture. I mean, it's always been the case, but like bad art, bad cinema. There's the CEO of Netflix got up and someone was like, he said, "I don't care that I make good movies. I care that people watch them." There's a lot of just very poorly done films on Netflix, but people sit around every night, they watch them. So there's bad, like not of good quality content or ideas that are being disseminated from America, and then there's also the dangerous stuff, the woke stuff, gender, race, whatever, that's coming out of America and infecting the minds of the global youth via social media. It makes it even faster now. It used to take weeks to show up in newspapers, some journalists come up with it. Now it's like boom, start a trend in LA, start a trend in wherever, goes down. So there's this cultural mercantilism that's happening. In line with the idea of cultural mercantilism, I specifically want to ask about film. What the hell is going on in Hollywood? Why have we stopped making good movies? Part of the answer may be because it's profitable to make bad movies, but also just...
I don't know that it is. I think a lot of it is ideological. There's a certain worldview that they have.
Who's they?
The people who make movies. And it's not just them, it's the soup in which they swim. It's the water in which they swim. There is there was this big furore with, I don't remember her name, the girl who plays Snow White.
Yeah, I don't know.
And she basically talked about how Snow White is no longer about her finding love.
Snow Black.
Well, it's not about race. It's about the fact that it's no longer about her finding the prince and falling in love and all of that. It's about her becoming confident and independent and powerful and whatever. And so...
No, just write a story about that then. That's not what Snow White's about.
Well, right. But my point more broadly is that they have a certain set of ideas that they are attempting to communicate through the medium of cinema. And those ideas don't map on very well onto what ordinary people want to see a movie about, because ordinary people, believe it or not, actually do want to fall in love, and they want to see a story about falling in love because it's the basis of human society and civilization. But these people have an ideology, and so they're pushing it through the movies that they're creating. And then they get upset when no one watches them and say it's because people are sexist or whatever. But on that, I think the market will win eventually. Whether it's in Hollywood or elsewhere, somebody's going to start making good quality stuff, and people are going to start watching it. Oppenheimer was fucking brilliant.
I agree. Loved it.
I'm keen to see the new Napoleon film. I've seen a couple of the trailers. I think it could be interesting.
Me too.
So we'll see. I mean, they can keep pushing their ideological crap on us, and we won't watch, and we'll watch other stuff. That's fine. It's fine. I think we shouldn't underestimate people. People. My wife. I always say about my wife, she's completely apolitical, and as a result, extremely based. And I think a lot of people are like that, actually. They don't pay attention to this stuff. They just think a lot of what's happening is super fucking weird, and they're not interested. My wife and I, we went to see Barbie because she wanted to see it, just out of curiosity. She didn't enjoy it. She's not going to go and see Barbie 2, right? So they created a lot of hype. They got people to watch it, and now people have realized they're making crap. Well, there you go.
Well, it did make close to $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, I'd be very interested to see how many billions of dollars Barbie 2 makes. because they will release one, because that's mostly what they do now, is make sequels of successful things. I don't think it's going to make a billion. I'm not going to go and see Barbie 2. Neither is my wife. So the market will win on that issue in the end. People will watch stuff that they think is good, and they won't watch stuff that they don't think is good.